What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Now, if you didn't see my community post from the other day, basically I've been having some issues. It's the main reason why I stopped the My Team Career Mode, having some issues with the game. It turned out that it was actually my wheel. Basically, when I put my pedal all the way to the floor, accelerator pedal, it wasn't kind of registering all the way. It was like flickering at the top end, so I wasn't getting full speed down straight. That is why I was having so many issues with not being as quick as I used to be, and just all these issues that I could not understand. That is the reason why that has been happening. I mean, I also did kind of stop this series because the races, we never really got much action in the races. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the final 3 races of this season, and see how we go. Now for this one, for Portugal here, we are going for changing all of our engine parts because I've gone into qualifying, the difficulty's not set properly, and basically I would just absolutely dominate qualifying. So we're going to start from the back of the grid with all these engine upgrades. We've also got a little bit of interesting news here, retirement announcement for Lance Stroll. Now this ultimately isn't going to really matter because we're not going to be doing the next season before F1 23 comes out. But I thought I would at least just put it in there anyway. And this is how R&D looks. So I've done 3 races since the last race I recorded was Singapore. I've actually done 3 races off camera since then. So we're just going to now do the final 3 races, which are Portugal, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. We're at the top of the R&D, so let's get into it.
The Formula One circus has made its way to the southern coast of Portugal this week and is preparing for what I think will be a terrific race here in Portimao. So Portimao features 15 turns over the course of its 2.9-mile length. 9 are right-handers, 6 are to the left. This is a track with a lot of uphill action, which only accentuates the importance of getting those exits right, especially at turn 4, where a good line can present opportunities to pass on the way into turn 5. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Russell, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Stroll, Ocon, Ricciardo, Magnussen, and Mick Schumacher, Schwartzman, Sainz, Sebastian Vettel, and Albon, Liam Lawson, Ticktum, Pierre Gasly, and Yuki Tsunoda. They've taken a grid penalty. Joe, Leclerc, Latifi, and Shaw. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Alright, so we start from the back of the grid in this one because of those engine penalties, but now I've got the difficulty back to where it should be. Basically, with those issues I was having with the, my pedal not working, I ended up going like 20 points of difficulty lower down than I usually would. So, yeah, it's really been hampering my game. I'm glad in a way that I found this issue, but at the same time, I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't figure it out earlier, because we could have been carrying on with this career mode and, be probably finishing season 4, maybe even season 5 by now. But anyway, we are back for these final 3 races of F1 22. It's lights out and away we go for the first time actually at Portugal. With first race at Portimao. As we have a look ahead of us, Leclerc is down the back of the grid as well due to grid penalties. He's gone for a big dive though on a couple of cars up ahead. We've got Latifi ahead of us as we go into the next corner, but then there's debris everywhere. That is a Williams in the middle of the road out of this race. Alexander Albon has got caught up in something right at the start. Looks like Leclerc might have been caught up in that as well, because he has got stuck behind Albon and the full safety car is out. It was briefly a virtual, but then it went to a full course safety car So let's have a look at a replay here. A lot of cars going into this first section. Very tricky first couple of corners here at Portimao. And as we see all these cars up ahead, it looks like Albon's gone into the back of someone, broken his front left suspension wheel has come off there. Leclerc, I think, has just got caught behind him. But let's have a look. On board with Alexander Albon. He's going side by side, gets overtaken by, I think that's Pierre Gasly up ahead. It looks like Gasly makes contact with the Alfa Romeo, and then Albon makes contact with Gasly, breaking his car. We look at it from Gasly's point of view, so he goes round the outside of Albon, just gets caught up with the cars braking up ahead. We see him run into the back of as well, and yeah, Gasly only breaks his front wing in that one, still in the race, but we'll have to come into the pits. This is Leclerc. He tries to go, well, it's almost 3 wide briefly, going through turn 1 there, and he just, for some reason, gets caught up behind Albon here, and then just, I don't know, has a bit of AI confusion and doesn't really know where to go. So that's not great for him. He's now way down the back, but I mean, he was at the back of the grid anyway. As now, a couple of laps later, the safety car is coming in, and we are now behind Tsunoda. We are very quick in this car. Like I said before, our car is at the top of the R&D, so we are the quickest car, and with Tsunoda on the soft tyres as well, Tsunoda's on the medium, so we're quite a lot quicker than that AlphaTauri. We go for a pretty bold move up the inside of turn 1. Everybody's now really slow around turn 2. We're actually looking to go round the outside of Zhou Guanyu inside for the next corner. We've made a move there that I wasn't really expected to make, but it has worked for us with everybody just being so stuck behind each other. And it's going to happen again. This time it's Dan Ticktum as we go round the outside of him. Also look at getting around the outside of Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin, but he manages to stay ahead of us. But we're going to try and fight him down to the next corner. We're side by side as we now go up the right, up the hill. Very tricky corner, this one. He's on the outside. A little bit of a better run for him on the racing line. We have to tuck in behind Sebastian Vettel. We're still having a look around there because I don't want to be getting caught behind these guys for too long. We are a lot quicker than a lot of these cars here. The kind of the top 6 teams are really close to each other, but then like the bottom 5 are quite a way behind us. And Aston Martin are part of that bottom 5, but we get past Sebastian Vettel, but then we run really wide through turn 1, and that lets Vettel get the cutback back on us again. So now we're going to be side by side through turn 3. This is turning into a mega battle with Vettel. I have to kind of step out of it there because we were going to make contact through that next corner, and I'm going to have to go for it again on the next lap around. A good run out of the final corner. We pull alongside Vettel, and it's actually quite an easy overtake this time. He tries pulling in behind us to get the slipstream, but we have got the pace on the Aston Martin. And we are now ahead and up into P14 after 5 or 6 laps, so that's not bad. Now Robert Schwartzman in the Haas is the next car that we're going to be getting past. We breeze past him on the straight as well. Pretty good stuff there. We've now got his teammates of Mick Schumacher and our old teammate from last season, Mick Schumacher, in front of us. It's going to be a little bit of a harder overtake. Thrust it down the inside there. Very close stuff. He gives us the room and we get ahead of Schumacher. As we're making all these moves, there are also moves being made elsewhere. This is Carlos Sainz. He's been overtaken by Kevin Magnussen in the Williams at the start of the race. Magnussen managed to get into the top 10 in qualifying, so he's had a great qualifying here, and he's actually, I think he qualified 9th. He's now 8th ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Sainz couldn't get the move on him there either. We are now on the back of Liam Lawson, and our first teammate from Season 1, and it's an easy breeze past him. He doesn't have DRS, he doesn't really even have a slipstream, so it's an easy DRS overtake for us on that car. And now we have a little bit more of a gap ahead of us too. I think it's Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, and then we're getting to cars that are more like our sort of pace now. At the front of the grid, Lando Norris, our teammate, leads the way from Max Verstappen in 2nd and Valtteri Bottas in 3rd. Daniel Ricciardo's had a great start to the race as well. He's up into 4th place. He started like 6th or 7th, I think, in the McLaren, but has actually had a really good start to this race. But our teammate Lando Norris is showing that our car is very quick, but Verstappen's keeping him on his toes, although Norris is on the mediums. Everyone behind him pretty much is on soft tyres, so some different strategies going on there. Norris holding on for now. As we now have a look at Charles Leclerc, he's once again trying to make his way through the order after starting right at the back of the grid because of a penalty and having that issue getting caught up at the start. He's gone for a move on Yuki Tsunoda, but Tsunoda fought it quite a bit through the first couple of corners there, but eventually Leclerc will win out. The next car ahead of us is Esteban Ocon, but this time around we got stuck behind him for one lap, didn't manage to get past him on that lap. And now we're going to come into the pits. We were supposed to come in on lap 10, but because of the safety car, my tyres still seem to be doing pretty well. I went another lap longer. So we came into the pits on lap number 11, and yeah, just made that work. And now onto the hard compound tyres till the end of the race. See what everybody else does, whether the other soft tyre runners go onto hards, whether the medium tyre runners go onto hards or softs, we'll have to wait and see. As now, once again, Charles Leclerc now has got past one of the Hasses and is now going for the other Hass of Mick Schumacher. He gets that move done. Schumacher doing a pretty good job though, hanging on to the back there, but yeah, Leclerc definitely has the pace in the Ferrari. We now have a little bit of a lonely race for a few laps as we're just kind of in clean air, pushing some good lap times. We've actually set the fastest lap of the race as well, showing that we do have some great pace here. Pierre Gasly's now the car ahead of us. He's on the mediums, but I imagine he will still have to come into the pits again. He's come in once because of his front wing damage at the start of the race, and that is why he's kind of out of sync with everybody else here. So we're going to once again breeze past him once we activate DRS down the main straight. Easy, easy stuff there. The AlphaTauri's still pretty quick actually down the straight there, even without DRS, but we managed to get the move done. It's another fastest lap for us. We are absolutely pumping in the laps here. And Esteban Ocon on the right there, we have got the undercut on him. You may remember when we came into the pits, Ocon was the car just ahead of us. Well, he's now come into the pits and we've come out ahead of him. So the undercut has worked for us here. Our pace is very strong. The two Mercedes currently sitting P2 and 3, Russell in second, Hamilton the driver we're following now in third. These guys are also on the medium tyres. Lando Norris is still up ahead leading the race, but these are all the medium tyre runners who haven't pitted yet. So Verstappen, Bottas, Ricciardo, they've all pitted off the soft tyres now, and they've actually gone into a set of mediums, so that's interesting how they're able to, you know, do a soft to medium. I think it would have been pretty difficult for us to do a soft to medium strategy. We're doing a soft to hard strategy, so maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not, I don't really know. Norris then eventually comes into the pits. He's now on the hard compound tyres. Verstappen and Bottas though right behind. Those guys are on mediums. So this is where it could really work out for Red Bull and McLaren, because they are on they're on older tyres than Norris, but Norris is, you know, those hard tyres, they take a little bit more to warm up, a little bit more to get into the window, and you can just see there that with those medium tyres, Verstappen and Bottas have managed to just keep on Norris's tail and have actually gained on him a bit and are putting pressure on him. Meanwhile, we're putting pressure on the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. We go deep into turn 1. He, though, manages to stick it around the outside. Great racing from him there, but then he locks up into turn 3. That gives us the move up the inside. We're going to go up this left-hand hill here. He's going to try and keep his car in it, but we're just going to cut him off and make sure we stay ahead. Weave a little bit on the straight there. Only one movement though, so it is legal to stay ahead of the Ferrari, and we are showing some great pace right now on these hard compound tyres. At the front still, and Norris still leads the way on those hards, but Verstappen on the mediums and Bottas on the mediums too, and Daniel Ricciardo is catching these guys as well. These guys do have very good pace right now, but they really need to do something sooner rather than later, because once those hards really, you know, I mean the hards at this point have, you know, they're working now, but eventually these mediums are going to wear out, especially stuck in the dirty air. So if Verstappen wants to get the lead of this race and win this race, he needs to do it very soon. It's all very close at the moment though. As we find ourselves after Zhou Guanyu he leaves the session, he has had an issue with his car and is pulled over. That leaves only 20 drivers in the race now. We're kind of stuck in this train behind Stroll, Hamilton and Russell, so we've made it up to P8 at the moment. So from P20 on P22 on the grid to P8, it's pretty great. And now we are showing our pace because Stroll has lost DRS from Hamilton up ahead. We're going to go for a fairly late move on him into turn 1, but get the move done on the retiring driver at the end of the season. That puts us up to P7. And now it's Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes, the car ahead of us. And we are showing good pace on him as well, because Russell, his teammate ahead, has actually pulled away from Hamilton. Means that Hamilton no longer had DRS, and that just meant it was an easy overtake for us. On the final lap here, we caught right up to the back of George Russell. We're right here as Dan Ticktum has blue flags and lets us both go. Lando Norris crosses the line to win the Portuguese Grand Prix. He is a master at this track. He won, I think, both races we did here in F1 2021, and he's won the one and only race here in F1 22. In the end, it's close, but we can't quite beat Russell to the line. It's P6 for us, but from P22, dead last on the grid, to P6, I will take that. That was a decent return to F1 22. We've got 2 more races to go before we get stuck into F1 23. Let's see how this goes.
A nearly flawless performance here then, and a commanding victory. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions, and perfecting the team strategies. They got all those things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
The faces on our top 3 look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
So Lando Norris wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. I forgot what the race was then. He wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. That's technically 2 wins in a row if you're counting the videos, because he won the Singapore Grand Prix, which was the last race we did a video on. He didn't win any of the 3 races in between, which by the way were Kota, Japan, and I can't remember what the other one was. I'm pretty sure it was 3. It was 2 or 3 anyway. It was definitely Kota and Japan. I think there was another one in there too, but yeah, he didn't win any of those. I think he got a podium in one of them, but yeah, he wins this time though in Portugal. But it's very close between him, Verstappen, and Bottas. Ricciardo really caught up at the end there as well. I do not know what happened to Hamilton. Right at the end, he got a DNF, but I look back on the replays. He didn't have a mechanical failure. And he got a ridiculously quick lap time. When I looked in the sectors, his final sector was ridiculously quick. But when I looked at the replays, there wasn't any corner cutting or anything, so I don't know what happened there. But Hamilton fell outside of the points. Looking at the championship, Max Verstappen has won the Drivers' Championship. That kind of happened in the break between Singapore and here that you guys haven't seen on video. But Verstappen will be the world champion this time around. Bottas moves ahead of Hamilton in the championship. Further down, Magnussen moves ahead of Zhou Guan Yu. Both of them only on 1 point, but with Magnussen getting a P11 this time around, he jumps ahead of Zhou in the standings. And then in the Constructors' Championship, it's still somewhat to play for here. Red Bull at the top, Ferrari not too far behind in second, and we are also fairly close there in third, so it is still possible that we could maybe win the Constructors' Championship, but it would be a fairly hefty thing. Every team has scored at least 1 point though, so that's really exciting to see. But yeah, there we go. That is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.